remakes and reboots have not been something a lot of people get along with. A lot of people take too much passion into the original work, and the original thing sets the standards up so high that the following thing is just isn't as good. So you question, was making the second part, sequel, prequel, or remake worth it? Um, and in many cases, the answer is no, no, it's not worth it. It's a waste of time. I mean, look at The Last of Us, for example. Part two was potentially one of the worst video games of all time, story wise, and and many others. But but there's been many cases where it actually ends up the sequel or the remake or whatever it is ends up being way better. One big example of this is the Evil Dead. I did not grow up with the Evil Dead, the original, but I saw the remake, and I think the remake is very strong. It's just a very good film itself. Walking into this movie, I had no expectations. In fact, I had no idea they were actually rebooting the entire franchise because clearly this is a reboot. Um, and I wasn't really expecting much, though. I was the only thing I wanted it to not happen was the stereotypical Evil Dead possessed type thing where the main possessed is always screaming and talking shit. That's like a little pet peeve. It unfortunately does happen in this movie, but I would say that it absolutely takes nothing away from the film, and it's just as good as the last two films. Well, to be honest, as the remake, because I didn't really like the original. Sorry, I'm not a fan of the original, but I really did like the remake, and I really did like Evil Dead Rise. Evil Dead Rise is yet again another great film by the franchise of Evil Dead. I think it was very well executed, and there's a couple things I really didn't exactly like, but I mean, those are more pet peeves as a horror fan. It's more stereotypical things, and it's just things that you've seen a lot in horror films already that they just do again. And it's things that I just would rather see something else rather than that. But all in all, like I again, I'm not gonna get into spoilers, but like all in all, I feel like it works very well, and it does what it's supposed to do. It's just set up for what could now potentially be an entire new franchise, which I am excited for. I'm not gonna lie, because the way we end off the movie sets up for something new and fresh, right? It opens doors to new, I guess you could say, problems and issues we could solve in different ways rather than what we've already seen in the past three films. So, or two films, sorry. I think this movie works very well, and I feel like it's important to know that because Evil Dead is something that even my parents, when growing up, they were like, "Oh my God, Evil Dead! That was the most horrific movie." They were talking about the original. That was the most horrific movie I've ever seen. I couldn't sleep for fucking 5 years after watching Evil Dead, or something like that, right? And so a lot of people know what Evil Dead is or The Evil Dead is. In fact, one of my favorite movie posters of all time is the one from The Evil Dead, the original one, the one with the bluish purple background. I feel like that's such a good poster. To give this movie a couple, like, my little pet peeves about the movie, as I mentioned, was that about like the monster like talking shit and it's just like being this like some sort of like at points even comical, where it starts doing things where you just question, is this a horror movie or is this a comedy movie, or is this like, are we watching Scary Movie 7, right? Like there's moments in the film where that happens, and I hate the whole launching self thing where she's just standing still and then she's just launching and while screaming. That to me is annoying, and does obviously it does happen in this film a lot. I feel like for me the movie was at its best when it was like on its like creepy factor, when everything was just on the low, right? When when L possessed L Ellie, was talking and just being the creepy mother, she is. Well, she wasn't a creepy mother. She was a great mother, but as the possessed as demon, I feel like she worked extremely well. She was very good, and also another thing that I missed from this film that I like a lot from the original one was the transition from, in this case, Ellie to possess, like to not Ellie anymore, just a demon. That transition, we kind of it kind of just happened too fast. That kind of is a spoiler, and it's not a spoiler. We already know she gets possessed. That transition happens way too fast to the point where we didn't get to see, like, the, I guess you could say, the dissociation from the both. It just happened. It's just like 1 second she's normal, the other second she's possessed. We never see Ellie again. She fucking disappeared. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that, and in the remake, there's this scene in particular that really stood out to me. Is the one where she's like sitting on the room, and then the brother walks in, and then she confesses that there's just something on the room, and the way she says it, and the way she delivers the line and acts it out, I feel like that scene itself is it's on its highest tension moment, because you don't know if it's the withdrawals, or if it's she actually possessed talking like that, because the demon can switch from voices and stuff like that. But I feel that actually is not that present here. She's just like gets possessed, and well, no spoilers, right? But she just gets possessed. Like, there's no, I don't know. It just feels like once she gets possessed, we just like Ellie just disappears from the entire map. She never comes back, and I guess that's fine. But at the same time, it's like, you know what I'm saying. Another thing that I want to point out is, this movie has a lot of original horror movie shots, or like homage, like the elevator scene. I really like the elevator scene, and there's a lot of scenes obviously calling back to the other Evil Dead, the original and the remake. Like, again, it's just a very enjoyable film, and what I like the most about it is because it's very accessible to like many different audiences, right? It's not like an A24 film where only like the people that watch A24 films are the ones that enjoy it, you know, and all the rest of the people are like, what the fuck are we watching? It's a movie where everybody can just walk into it and have a good time watching a horror film and then walk out. It's just like Smile. Smile is a movie that everybody expected to be shit, and some people even got scarred off of that movie. So, like, I feel like this movie actually has that. And again, I hope to see if when this franchise moves on, I hope to see more creepy factor rather than just jump scare factors and just like loud fucking noises and screams. Because for me, as I said, the movie was at its best when there was the creepy factor, when she was just staring at whoever it is she was staring, and just looking just dead. Like, that's when, for me, the movie was at its best, and it had like the highest amount of tension on me, because it was very creepy, and the way they just executed the makeup and all of that was just outstanding. The setting was great. um and the ending is, I would say, no spoilers, no spoilers, no spoilers, no spoilers. But yeah, I do absolutely recommend this film. This film is very good. It is a fun time, and it's. I think this is the last horror film we'll get in like 2 months. I can't. I They did not bring Beau is Afraid, unfortunately, though that's more of a drama film from what I think. So, anyways, giving this movie a couple inches, I'm gonna give this movie an 9.5. I feel like this movie is enjoyable. It's just a couple nitpicks of that I fucking hate about, just typical horror films. But other than that, I really think it's a very strong film, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun on it, and I already plan on watching it again because it's just really good. It's just enjoyable. You have a lot of fun, and I can guarantee you will always be rooting for someone in particular in the film. and it's very good. It's very heartfelt. It's very family oriented. Of course, the plot because it's a mother. So it's really good, and it does work where it needs to work. So hopefully we don't get to see a screaming monster on the next Evil Dead films if there are to come. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, leave a thumbs up. Um, yeah.